The midnight hour on the busiest roadway in the Pacific Northwest, Interstate 5 through Seattle. Last August, a rookie state patrol trooper assisted other officers up the highway who were pulling off the shoulder after a DUI stop. The trooper attempted to halt traffic with what's called a rolling slowdown. Then, his patrol car was smashed by a fully loaded semi-truck, as seen here on dash camera. Responding troopers found the crushed vehicle propped up on a Jersey barrier. They freed Trooper Phirawat Apisit, a patrol cadet in his first months on the road.
You okay, buddy? Yeah.
Investigators quickly focused on the driver of the semi-truck, who was making his usual overnight run from Tukwila to Everett, carrying a load of U.S. mail. Troopers said the truck driver did not reduce his speed when he saw flashing lights, according to reports we got through a public records request to the State Patrol. And they wrote it was apparent that Trooper Apisit checked lanes prior to making lane changes before the crash. Most disturbing is what happened right before this field sobriety test. Not one, but 3 troopers said they could detect the odor of intoxicants coming from the truck driver. They implied he could be drunk. Important question. Did you drink any alcohol that night?
I don't drink.
What do you mean you don't drink?
I don't drink at all. I'm diabetic.
Do you know what the troopers wrote about you at the scene?
No.
That they smelled intoxicants when they were near you.
Well, that's extremely funny because I don't drink and I haven't drank in decades.
Veteran truck driver Shawn Foutch of Snohomish passed the field sobriety test and a portable breathalyzer test.
And here's an alcohol. Said he had last drink 30 years ago and he blew 0-0.
Right after the crash, a witness told Trooper Apisit he saw him cut off the truck driver.
I was doing the road slow down. I saw the road slow down.
And soon, Fouch's company sent investigators this video from his truck's dash cam. It shows the trooper moving across all lanes of traffic to the right shoulder.
Because there was officers on the right-hand side, I thought he was shooting across the freeway to try and get on that side of the freeway to get up to the officers. And then all of a sudden, he does a U-turn on the freeway and comes back in front of me.
Foutch moved his truck 3 lanes to the left to give the trooper room, but the video shows Apisit turning suddenly in front of Fouch's 40-ton truck.
It's not going to stop fast.
Did you think this whole thing was over after that night?
Yeah. I mean, because in my mind, it was the officer's fault because he didn't take due care and precaution.
But months later, this citation for negligent driving arrived in the mail. It's no small thing for someone like Foutch, who holds a commercial driver's license.
It's extremely serious because they can and will revoke your CDL. I mean, so now I have no way to make a living. I feel that they're trying to cover up the fact that their officer was in the wrong.
This might seem like the kind of thing that happens all the time, right? People argue over who is at fault in a car crash. But in this case, investigating troopers were ignoring one very important piece of evidence that was coming from their own expert.
Just for the record, this is kind of unusual, but I'm definitely on your client's side for this case. I don't think an infraction should have been written.
That's an audio recording of the State Patrol collision tech, a crash expert called out to investigate on the night of the accident. The tech agreed to a recorded phone call with Fouch's attorney, Lucas McQuethy.
During the interview, he did come right out and say it, that my client was not driving negligently, that he advised against citing him with a ticket.
I, in fact, went to a lieutenant and instructed them not to write a ticket here because once I heard that was going to happen, I kind of went to bat for your client.
They all work with the officer that was involved in the accident, and what it appears to me is that they all circled the wagons around him and are trying to insulate him from any possible backlash.
Over the months, King County prosecutors rejected McQuethy's repeated demands to drop the negligent driving charge in the face of such damaging evidence. At the same time, the State Patrol told prosecutors it launched a more advanced review of the crash, shopping for a second opinion most favorable for the prosecution, according to records we obtained from the county prosecutor. Dashcam video shows Trooper Apisit walking away from the accident. But listen to this voicemail Sergeant T.J. Johnson left with the prosecutor months later.
This is an accident that involved a trooper who was pretty seriously injured and who has subsequently had a number of surgeries.
The sergeant is pressing the prosecutor's office to push this case forward.
When King 5 approached me about this originally, the phrase that was used, hey, it sounds like the State Patrol's being heavy-handed. We were. It sounds like the State Patrol circling the wagons to protect their own. We did.
State Patrol spokesperson Chris Loftus admits the patrol's conduct in this case is indefensible.
The infraction should have never been issued.
Loftus says after King 5's call last week, investigations are underway.
We have an internal review going on. It's been ordered by the chief. We're investigating every component of this from the highest level.
What would you say to the driver of that truck?
We're being criticized rightfully on this. I can't be any clearer than that. We were wrong and we apologize.
So a big development. A few days after our call to the prosecutor's office, the charge against Foutch was dismissed. We asked the prosecutor spokesperson why it took 8 months to reach that decision. There's the argument out there the prosecutor is just rubber stamping whatever law enforcement wants.
Sure.
What do you say to that?
We're not just rubber stamping things. That's why we subpoenaed Trooper Arata, because we wanted to hear from him in front of the court, to hear him say, I don't think this is an infraction. And once we were able to confirm that, that's when the case was dismissed.
Casey McNerney says the prosecutor wanted to be sure the collision tech had seen all the dash cam videos to make his final ruling. He says once they knew that, they dismissed the charges. But, you know, this is an infraction, kind of what might be called a small-time case. But the State Patrol was really heavily involved, and the prosecutors are supposed to provide oversight in that. It just doesn't seem there was oversight from beginning to end in this case.
And then you mentioned that you said the State Patrol launched its own investigation after your call. So who are they investigating? There's
actually 3 separate investigations that are underway to be certain that all the troopers and any supervisors that may have been involved are held accountable. The State Patrol has promised to report back to us as soon as they have their findings.